Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
I welcome you to the third lecture on how to transfer a technology through strategic alliance. And today my focus will be more on opportunities and risks in the strategic alliance. Now, to put the opportunities in a simplest way, as Mary did in her paper Strategic Alliance, Legal and Ethical Challenges, that globalization and technological advances have contributed to the rise of strategic alliance. It is alleged that the traditional or vertical integrated companies cannot deliver the level of quality, low cost, innovation and a first response times that competition demand. So, to put it other way around, that in the globalization era or when the technology advancement is in its peak, the strategic alliance is a better form of business opportunity in compared to if you wanted to grow in an organic manner within the organization. Now, possibly we are aware of the fact that the life of the technology is became much lesser than which it used to be in last decades. Take example of mobile cell phone, you will find the life of technology is around 3 months. By that time, you will find new or better improved version is in the market. Similarly, there is other technologies also, be it a car, be it a bike, be it a IT based technology, be it a entertainment based technology, you will find they are rapidly changing and they are bringing more and more efficient technology into the market. So, if you wanted to be competitive against your competitor in the market, then you need to adopt the new technology and you should have a capacity to absorb that particular new technology within your organization. And to be to be candid on this particular issue, many of the time the company who are in developing the product into a particular market do not have an age to develop that R&D within their organization. So, one has to rely on the technology which is available in other part of the market or in the other part of the globe, and they have to get that particular technology so that they can bring the product which is market standard. So, strategic alliance gives the dynamism, collaboration and mutual learning. Dynamism in the sense that you can keep space with the technological changes which market look for. Collaboration in the sense you collaborate with the partners, where your partner also get opportunity to learn about the market where you are producing that particular technology, or they even able to learn that technology demand into that particular market. So, accordingly they can customize their product if they are good into R&D, or even they can bring a better technology or commission the new research for developing a new technology or better technology. Even the strategic alliances evolve the way by which it can gives you a dynamic managerial as well as the legal framework. Now, when I am talking about dynamic managerial, it means that those people who are managing the affair of the company or the organization which is coming out of this strategic alliance, or any relationship which is coming out of this particular strategic alliance, they should be in a better position to know that how to place themselves into the emerging market or the changing market conditions. At the same time, when I am talking about the legal framework, you have to have a very dynamic legal relationship between you and your partner, or between the parties who are participating into this strategic alliance. So, both of you can get the advantage out of this strategic alliance itself. Now, when I am talking about flexible framework or flexible legal framework, I wanted to mean that whenever you have entered into an agreement, you possibly not aware of the fact that what are the issues might come before you. Rather, you have kept your condition open or the framework, legal framework open, so that if there is an exigencies in the futures, or if there is a changing business environment in future, you can accommodate that particular changing business environment within your agreement itself. So, what I am trying to drawing your attention, that you should have a flexible system of managerial orientation of the organization which is coming out of this particular essay, or if it is a simply a contract, then both that organization should have a flexible managerial structure which can promote the essay strategic alliance. At the same time, you should also promote the flexible legal framework, so that it can give you a better understanding over this continuation of the strategic alliance. Now, let me take you through the criteria which might provide you sustainable and successful alliances in when you are going ahead into the future. The first thing is that there should be a communication channel at all levels. That means, if you are creating a new structure or new business organization out of this strategic alliance, or you are managing this particular business by both the partner, in both the cases there should be a level of or channel of communication in all the stage. It might be even the channel of communication in the lower management rank, even in the worker level. At the same time, it should be into the higher managerial level, where the decision making happens in these particular case. Now, you should also develop the joint capabilities of producing that particular product, or handling the market, or even the competition which you might face in the market, or at the same time, if there is any risks which you are finding in doing this particular business. Relating to the matter of the risks, I am going to discuss little later, but let me tell you, this developing the joint capability is one of the very important aspect for sustenance of the strategic alliance. There is some kind of study which said that within 3 years almost 55% of the strategic alliance collapses because of not able to developing these particular joint capabilities. Similarly, you need to have kind of a system available through which you could exchange your proprietary information. If you remember my previous lecture, I was talking with you relating to non-disclosure agreement, because sometimes while you are in strategic alliance or when you are acting together into a particular market, you do disclose some of the very sensitive information which is only known to a particular organization only, because if it is spill over to the public domain, then in that case you might have a difficulty to face your competitor or even the market too. So, exchanging of proprietary information should be there, but at the same time there should be adequate precaution to be taken by both the party into this strategic alliance. Now, you need to share the goal and objectives, and you need to continuously change it, monitor it, redevelop it and reassert it, because the goal with which you have started this particular strategic alliance need to be changed due to the change into the market condition, due to change in the regulatory environment, due to the change about in the customer preference, so on and so forth. Similarly, you need to be flexible about your objectives which you wanted to pursue during this particular strategic alliance too, because you might have a objective initially to produce a to bring a particular product into a particular market, but over the years it might require to customize that particular product, and you also need to indulge yourself or to start R&D for bringing a better product into that particular market itself. So, you need to have a flexible objective. You cannot continue simply with developing the product. If need arise, you have to have developed the facility to do the R&D into this particular product. Now, the third thing which helps this particular strategic alliance is the mutual cost reduction strategies. Through this particular strategic alliance, many of the time you try to find out the best process through which you can bring down the cost of the production. It might be through the engineering innovation, it might be by defining the new process of labor management, it might be the process by which you wanted to access the market, or it might be the supply chain which you wanted to use for distribution of your product, so much so forth. You basically try to find out suitable knowledge or suitable understanding from each other, so that you can mutually get benefit in this particular process. Now, as I told you that strategic alliance give you a lot of opportunity to grow. At the same time, you also need to avoid the risks which you might face during this particular strategic alliance. And what I did, I gave you a 4-pointer about this particular risks which you might find in usual course of your business. The first might be the weak intellectual property protection, and most of the country you will find, though there is an intellectual property law are there, but the execution of the intellectual property protection is quite low. Now, if you look in India, you will find those multinational who do the business in India, or those people who are basically technology based or knowledge based business, they always allege that Indian intellectual property enforcement is pretty low, and it is quite risky to do the business in India, because India do not give any protection against the reverse engineering. India did not give any protection relating to rampant infringement of somebody's knowledge. India do not give adequate protection in infringement of the copyright, so much so forth. Even some people say that if it is a industrial design, the India do not give a proper protection for this particular purpose. So, many of the time the weak intellectual property regime might be a big challenge for strategic alliance, because the liability of protecting this particular intellectual property which you are receiving from your partner organization lies with you only. So, you need to have your strategy in place, internal, as well as you have to take the adequate precaution for enforcement of your right if there is an infringement happen in outside of your organization too. Now, the second can be the uncertain political environment, and this is a quite a big challenge in the country like India, where there is a multi-party democracies are there, because once a political master changes in the election, their objective and the perspective of the development or perspective of perspective of economic growth might change. So, in those circumstances, one need to be very careful that how they are going to carry forward the business. You might if you look around, you will find there is a many project which was initiated by the previous government are not really progress much into the present government, and this is also true not only in the federal level or the central level, but this is also true in state government level or even in the local government level. So, the political uncertain environment might be a huge bottleneck or might be a huge problem for you in execution of the project which you wanted to initiate through this strategic alliance. Now, some of the market are affected by the rampant corruption, and people do allege the same thing for India also, and this is also true not only India, in many of the market, be it a developed market, developing market or underdeveloped market. And in those particular market, the government machineries or maybe the local government or the people who are facilitated to that particular business, they do expect that there should be some kind of a kickback for doing the business into that particular market. And your organization might be an ethical organization, and you don't encourage this particular process. So, in those particular market, to survive itself is a very, very challenging task or difficult task. Like somebody told me that it is surprising that how the Tata do the business in India, because India has a bad reputation of the corruptions, and they said that if the ethical organization like Tatas are doing the business in Indian market, is really very surprising for the outsider who are not part of this particular thing. Similarly, there might be a complex legal and regulatory regime, and which might create a huge bottleneck for doing the business into a particular market. Yesterday, I have talked with you relating to ease of doing the business in India, and India basically feature very low into that particular list itself. So, sometimes there is a over regulation into a particular market. Sometimes you will find because of that particular over regulation, brokering influence comes and it create a stumbling block for development of this particular business, and you need to manage this particular difficulty into this particular during this particular strategic alliance. Well, now let me put it before you, these two stages of the risk assessment. One can be called before you are entering into a market, and second one is after you entering into the market. In both the cases, it is advisable that you closely monitor this particular risk, and you should have a strategy in place to combat this particular risks. Like if you are entering, before you are entering into the market, you might have risks relating to the legal and regulatory issues which I have talked with you. It might be relating to the business community, it might be relating to the business security, and even some of the time geographical risks. I believe I have talked with you relating to legal and regulatory issues. Let me talk about the business community. Some point of time you will find the business community through their trade association create a barrier for a new entrant into the market, and this particular barrier is quite acceptable to this particular market because maybe the fair regulator into that market are not very strong, or there is some kind of a practice which is prevalent into the market, and that create a barrier, a strong barrier for a new entrant into this particular market. And in those particular circumstances, you should have a strategy in place how you are going to do this particular thing. Or sometimes you will find this business community do exercise a lot of concentration into the market through their own association or trade groupings. Similarly, you will find there might be a geographical risks due to geopolitical issues. It might be because of the fragile environment of that particular place where you wanted to do the business, so much so forth, and there you should be aware about that what are the risks which you might face before you really start your strategic alliance. And if you are aware of this particular risks, you have to have a plan in place how to combat with this particular risks. Similarly, after you enter into the market, you need to you need to continuously monitor this risk assessment or perform this particular risk assessment, so that you have a early warning of a particular risk which you might going to face. And if you have this particular early warning, then in that case you should take appropriate measure how to combat that particular risk into that particular market itself. This take me to the risk management, and I will suggest you that you should have risk management into the core of your strategic decision making. Now, when I am talking about the core of strategic decision making, I am talking about all around a risk management system. It might be the business risks which you require to manage. It might be the economic risks. It might be political risks. It might be the legal and regulatory risks. It might be the intellectual property protection risks of that particular market, so much so forth. So, whatever this particular risk is, you should have a kind of a risk management in place, and you should know who is going to bear what kind of risks. That means, are you going to bear all kind of risks, or your partner is going to share some of the risks, or how you are going to hedge a particular risk which you are going to face into this particular business, or if you require to have some kind of underwriting protection for this particular risk. And if you do take this particular underwriting protection, who is going to bear the finance for this particular underwriting protection, or how you are going to transfer the risks to the other people who might be associated into this particular business. So, what I am trying to drawing your attention, that you should have a mechanism in place to manage this entire risks which you might find at the time of strategic alliance. Thank you for your patience hearing.